So let's put FPOB. No,
Gonna go put me in
Chief.
timeout. I understand.
Why would we do that?
Backstage, dude.
Why
No
would we
one
do
knows
that?
what it's like to be Batman.
Dude, you're
Oh,
funny,
man.
bro. You're funny.
All right. Well, we just lost Bob Dog, but I'd like to welcome everybody to episode number 6 of the AfterWhores podcast. Your host, Chief Tapo, here with Darren.
Yay.
Mr.
Sorry
New
about
Fifty
that.
Fun.
I'm not usually
Jeez,
told.
your voice just cracked so fucking bad.
New Fish Big Pond here. What's up, everybody?
Was
Thanks
it
for
that
tuning
truly
in.
that made? Was it that truly that made your voice crack, Darren?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get shit on that.
Very special guest, FullPortOrBust. How the fuck are you doing, man?
Doing great, man. How you guys doing?
Yeah.
Better now.
Doing
Better
yeah.
now.
We're doing awesome, man. We're doing awesome. The weekend gapped up. Market opens tomorrow. Overnight market's already open. I'm
Hell
getting
yeah, man.
excited.
Futures are up.
Yeah, man. Looks like it's going to be a nice, profitable day tomorrow before we get rugged at the end of the week, probably.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'll there's some hintings that's happening. I'm trying to get back into cash because I think we got a little dippy-doo-dah coming here June.
Yes. So I've seen some things that are the Treasury Secretary saw this over the weekend. Now mind you, this is all speculation here, but the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he is a former hedge fund manager, and so with the way that the markets stayed the same or were going up, even though they should have been going down, and I've been telling everybody this in the group that I trade SPY in. I'm like, this market just doesn't make sense at all. Nothing about it fundamentally makes any sense. And I understand that things can change with the social media post from the president, but it still didn't make sense. And then I saw this thing over the weekend, and it was talking about how Scott Bessent was a hedge fund manager, and he's basically playing hedge fund games with the U.S. Treasury Department right now. And so he's got the market propped up, and he needs everything to sort of like play out, or else our economy could fucking crash.
So there's a couple things going on that have made me think this is likely in the books. Number one is I pretty extensively monitor the options chain. There's several reasons I do this, but amongst the big one being it's proven insanely accurate so far. And we have this pretty gnarly gap up with the low side potential for SPY down to 500 again here in the next couple weeks. The other one is I got my hands on this big, like, just pile of financial. Fuck. I was worried about that.
You okay?
What happened?
Did you spill your beer?
Oh, no. Okay, cool. The pin tab moved. I closed the window and I thought I closed the pin tab. No, the beer is safe. The beer is safe.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask important questions.
For you.
Yeah, so I got my hands on this big ream of like financial documents back in January, and I did a series of posts on them. I'm not sure if you guys read them, but basically they were all saying the same thing of nasty Q1, which proved true, followed by kind of a bullish Q2, and then another drawdown here coming up on Q3. They were saying around June to July. So I have two very independent sets of information that are pointing towards drawdown coming. And I thought I did the same thing I did the first time, which is overextended myself and went long just a little too close to the drawdown here this last week because everything was looking really red all week. But it looks like I'll be able to get out in time.
Well, I really hope we get another big drawdown. I'd love to get MSTR at 250 again. I'm very jealous of these people. Chief just sent me a text earlier, and he had this guy from After Hour that I guess bought call options like a month ago on MSTR, and
yeah, the user's
what
name
was
is
it?
Mickey Love.
They were he bought those, like he said he's been trying to make that play work for the last 3 years, but
yeah.
But
it's like 25K to $1 million.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
insanity.
Yeah, I did the math. It was like 27,000 or something like that, and right now it's worth $1 million.
Insane.
He's had that position ever since I first came across his profile.
You just keep rolling it.
No, he bought leaps. He bought like leaps, like way out.
How the fuck could you buy 3-year leaps?
As far as you can go, like 2 years, I think.
So maybe he did roll once.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope he takes his money and run.
He said he was.
I
was
really it's painful to see these guys who post these screenshots and they're like, yeah, I'm up, and then like a week later everything shifts and they lose everything.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
life-changing gains.
One of
eating the dogs.
the big things I heard is if it's good enough to take a screenshot, it's good enough to realize profits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
There's memes about that.
Absolutely.
He
So
just a side note on that user. He doesn't have it linked, but he said in a comment on one of his posts that he has 5,500 MSTR shares in a different account. So yeah, that's over. It's like 2.3 million right now.
That's
Oh
beautiful.
my god,
But so I guess it's pocket change for him.
that's how you do it.
So, Bob Dog, you were talking about getting master at 250. I started buying back in on this round because I wasn't on the round last fall or last early winter, whatever it was. Started buying at 237. My average on the 55 shares that I have is 246. Oh man!
Wow, amazing.
I'm curious here. I'm gonna
come.
send my little bot nuts on MicroStrategy and see what it can dig up. It'll take 5-10 minutes here to scare everything up.
Oh man,
it.
That's awesome. Thanks, bro. Yeah, I've also got a call option. I've got a 325 strike for 718. So
shit.
Yeah. So my plan is to sell my 55 shares at market price a couple of days before, see how much cash I need, and then pull that cash. And I think it'll be about $5,000 or so, $7,000 max. And I'll have 100 shares of MicroStrategy, and then I can start selling covered calls.
My man.
Trying to make that weekly money.
I think this week is going to be the week the nasty happens.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm still like, so this thing goes out. Built this tool. This is a tool that I use to like build a lot of this data that I share with you guys, and it's I've got some big nasty dots on MSTR with a high this week of 370.
Ooh, interesting.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it's at 422 right now.
Yeah.
I do expect a big pullback in Bitcoin though.
But yeah, because the heat map in CoinGlass, it does show Bitcoin going to 93K.
That's all that.
So
and when it does load up on Bitcoin, anyone who wants to buy spot Bitcoin, load up because it's probably not going to go cheaper than that.
Bitcoin is a great thing. This is I remember back when it was at like 101, 102. I told people, I was like, yeah, I'll be bullish on it when it gets back to 84. And everyone just like was appalled. It was so like I was getting so many nasty responses from people and they're like, there's no way. And sure enough, it pulled back to like 84.4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, in order for it to stay healthy, in order for the price to stay healthy, gaps need to be filled.
So it's not gap was not the reason why I did this. There's one trend has dominated trading history since like before the 1920s, and that's called the secular uptrend channel. And basically, it's this like region that stock prices have moved in over all time. And back in the end of 24, we were nearing the upper edge of the secular uptrend channel. Like that, things were just way too hot. I think there's been like not a single time in history that this channel has actually been broken, and it's called movement in advance, like 30, 40 years ahead of when it actually happened. It's insanely accurate. There's also another channel that if you look at like the historic prices from SPY, you'll see like some kind of nasty oscillation until 2002, which my buddy and I have some kind of funny tinfoil hat theories about things that may have happened late 2001. But that's kind of the advent of modern trading where like you can buy and sell things online and like retail traders have easy access to the market. And things have been moving on like this same channel ever since then, and steadily, like including COVID, including the housing bust in 07, including all that stuff. The market has been like really steadily traveling through the same channel. And I remember back in like November, I was telling people, I'm like, hey guys, be careful. We're nearing the upper edge of this channel. And depending on how you interpret it, we've actually kind of like popped the top and we're going to have a nasty drawdown here. And now we're back towards like the bottom of that channel.
Yeah, I forget what I saw, but they're saying that the market's going to, or SPY specifically, is going to go up to like 580, 585, and then like drop
That's
to
based
like
on volume.
It's gonna
460.
It's based on the volume shelf. So I was
Yeah.
I lost $1,000 trying to fucking time it with puts, but that was just dumb on my part. FPOB, I have a quick question for you regarding.
I have a quick answer.
Likely.
Goddamn right you do. You answer as fast as I finish. So fuck. I forget what the fucking question was. Oh, it was regarding your what you just said about MSTR and your bots hunted what a high of 370-ish or whatever.
Oh yeah. More
week?
news is coming in. So I don't know if you see those little breakdowns I do on the news, but right now the news breakdown is 0 bullish, 18 at 80% bearish.
Oh Jesus.
Well, and you're inversing the news though, right? So it's like all the news is like all bullish essentially, and you're saying.
Oh yeah, and there are
That's
things
BS.
like Michael Saylor's strategy could qualify for S&P 500. Institutions profited on MicroStrategy after doing this. Trump Advisor launched. Oh no, that's an investment firm for Bitcoin. That's indirect. Okay. Bitcoin tops $100,000 again. Here's the leading cryptocurrency company. Coinbase is just buying Bitcoin. Don't just call. I mean, these are all like there's no substance to any of these articles, and that's why I'm so comfortable inverting them, is because they're all just like, look at how good these things do, and there's no actual information. These are entirely subjective articles.
Right. So
Or the deal.
So you're saying
my
it's sort of
question.
like a...
My question before I forget, Fish, please. I'm gonna forget again. I'm gonna forget again, and it's never gonna come back.
No.
So you're. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
It's destroyed.
No, but seriously, because we talked about this on a previous episode when we were talking about selling covered calls, and like, you want to try to sell if you want to keep your shares in a certain delta range, but you have to factor in super high beta things like MSTR, the most volatile stock in the market, Tesla, the second, I think, most volatile stock in the market.
Let me put it this way. The last time I saw news that there was this directionally consistent and like all telling the same narrative on this little bit of substance, Tesla printed 20% up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Not options.
Yeah.
The stock printed 20% up.
Right. Huh.
So calls on Tesla.
I'm gonna be buying myself some. What is that? MSTX.
Ooh, yeah.
Is that the Downy Brownie?
Wow.
MSTX is the 2x leverage.
XX. The what is it? It's probably MSTZ, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah,
inverse MSTZ. Here we go.
Dude, it's like $4 now.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if you guys don't mind, since we're on the subject, I saw a good question on Darren's post about leveraged funds and whether or not you should invest in them. How do you feel about that, FullPort?
So there are 3 different ways you can like buy stock in the market, or 3 different mindsets you can use for buying things in the market. One is a store of value. This is investing. Investing is used as a way to store your value just in something, not cash. Saylor has a great saying on this. He says, there are people who use fiat as a store of value. We call them poor. And I really like that saying. It's, if you keep your money in cash, you are poor. It doesn't matter how much money you have. The idea is you want something that maintains its value as time progresses, which taking the more aggressive approach of this is trading. And trading in general, this is a definition that I've been like itching to share with people for a long time. Trading in general is taking advantage of changes in time and location in order to accrue value from resources. So either you are, I mean, you can't really change position with stock. Everyone trades on the same global market. So you have to change position in time. And this is really the idea behind like swing trading and directionally trading, is taking advantage of these moves that are like way hot or way cold and being able to then ride them to the other end of the pendulum swing and then get out. And so leverage shares are really good for trading. Nothing will beat actual like raw shares when it comes to investing. So if your goal is to store value, if your goal is to just keep your money the same amount of money and have it maybe gently appreciate with time, things that are guaranteed to go up are your best bets. And then there's some like maneuvering you want to do based on how aggressive you want to grow and like what your risk tolerance is for that. But I've got like a lot of stuff in companies that I am just generally bearish or generally bullish on, that I'm like, these companies are going to do well. The companies that I mentioned that I like to trade in are the ones that I tend to also want to invest in. And that's because I'm generally bullish on those companies. So do I think leverage shares are a good idea for investment? If you're doing like a monthly type strategy of I'm going to readjust my investments, I'm going to very actively manage them and like constantly move things into what I think are the most aggressive growers and stay in things that are relatively safe, I think leverage shares are good. If you want something where it's like, I don't want to look at this, I just want to put the money in and I just want to know that it is good, I do not recommend leverage shares, because if you look at like pretty much every leverage ETF over the history of time, they do gradually decay. And eventually they decay to, if nothing else, grow in value slower than the stock.
Well,
yeah, you don't
I
want to
think
hold longer than. Oh, sorry.
the
Go ahead.
perfect example of that is the MSTU this year is only up 17%, while MSTR was up 34%, I think.
That's a pretty aggressive one. But I mean, even if you look at like UPRO through like the really bullish months, UPRO at one point was up like 20% and SPY had been up 20% in the same time window.
Yep.
Well, we want to emphasize like the leveraged funds. So they're awesome if you have strong conviction on directionality, whether it's because of earnings, or which you probably shouldn't play too aggressively, or any other type of news. Then buying leveraged funds are going to be a lot safer than buying options, because leveraged funds aren't going to expire worthless. So if you have strong conviction and directionality, then you should pick up some of those leveraged funds based on the underlying, but you don't really want to hold them longer than a week or two, or until your thesis plays out, because you should know by the time you purchase it whether or not the news or whatever you think is going to happen is happening or going to happen.
The nice thing about leverage shares is because they don't decay, when you don't bullseye the movement, they tend to yield better profits than options. This is not just me saying this. This is me playing out like a number, or not playing. This is me trading a number of scenarios over a long period of time. This is me running a number of different like back tests on things like that. Generally, leverage shares will capture a directional movement more profitably than options do. It's wild to think that, but that is actually the case. And it looks like my bot has finished MicroStrategy, and this little text block is going to give me goosebumps. I know it is. I haven't even read it yet, and I hope it gives you guys goosebumps reading it too. So whenever you guys are ready for
that. I am ready to get bricked.
Yeah, dude. Let's go.
Okay.
Semi hard right now.
As of right now, key levels for May 16th, which for those who aren't familiar with my key levels, these have been broken twice in the last 4 months. I've had key levels actually get exceeded, and they were on Black Swan events, and they were technically not completely exceeded, but definitely rode to like the very extreme edges. Anyway, key levels for MicroStrategy: low bearish 240.18, mid bearish 275.16, bearish 312.40, moderate 309.96, bullish 325, mid bullish 329.95, high bullish 370.25. We have 0 news articles indicating bullish sentiment, and we have 18 indicating bearish sentiment. We have other sources from like other documents. These are generally not public. I say not public, but not easily accessible information. 6 of those are saying generally bullish. 1 is saying very bearish. So trading plan, short from the current price of 416.03. This is a fairly high confidence trade with a time horizon of 1 to 5 days. The exit conditions are reassess if the position declines to 390. Take profits above, take profits 370 or below. We have a strong consensus, and this is the text block that like always just gives me chills here. It says a strong consensus in recent news points towards the current MicroStrategy strength being driven by retail enthusiasm, which typically provides opportunities for institutional selling. Price modeling for the current week indicates that 416.03 is an above expected average upper range, with the key upper price point being identified closer to 370. A very significant data point for this week also calculated a much lower value near 310. Bitcoin's price trajectory from its recent highs will heavily influence MicroStrategy. The co-occurrence of bullish retail narratives with institutional preparedness to sell, evidenced by news analysis and the recent highlight of a leveraged short MicroStrategy product, creates a compelling short-term bearish setup. These news articles were published between May 7th and May 11th, indicating a very strong current sentiment. And then recommendations for existing longs is reduce exposure and realize profits. Decline to 390 offers a point to reevaluate, as this price is significant for some MicroStrategy-focused financial products in the future model calculations. And then existing shorts is to maintain these positions until 370.
Wow. So,
That's a buzzkill right there.
Oh my god!
I got hard thinking about getting fucking cheaper shares.
There it is. So,
Chief, you're always hard though.
Yeah, I have a saying though: is whenever MicroStrategy is like just big green dildo, like that's the time when you want to think about selling puts or buying leverage inverse ETFs like MSTZ.
You don't want to sell puts.
You want to sell puts on very bearish movement.
Right. When it's on red days, so you capture the premium. You don't want to sell puts on green days.
I think you meant buying puts.
The days where your average retail trader is panicking and selling their entire portfolio, sell them a put.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant buying puts?
I think I misspoke. I meant to say buying puts.
Oh, buying puts.
Yeah.
I generally cannot speak to the wisdom of buying options. This is a personal preference in my trading strategy.
Yeah. I'm starting to think about a good trading strategy to be to buy some MSTZ. Like it's at like $4.50 right now.
I bought some just now for $4.08.
There you go. So MSTU. Yeah, because actually I had like 700 shares of MSTU, and I bought those around $4. And as you can see, it was at like $9 a share. So I made quite the profit off of those, and I feel like I can just do it on the way back down as well. So,
well, I mean, if this move is indeed the 20, if this is a 25% downward movement for MicroStrategy, which feels likely. I'm also looking like the historical charts, and there's been a record high of 350 like 2 months in a row. That puts us at like a 25% downwards. This could be a 50% profit trade here. This is a very enticing leverage shares trade.
I'm going all in.
Full port or bust, man.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm glad we brought your name up again, because I do have a burning question that I've been meaning to ask you for a long time.
Boy,
what else is burning, Chief?
It's been when I pee, but I still didn't get time to go to the doctor because I got mandated at work, so I've been really busy. All right.
Oh man.
But Mr. Bust,
Mr. Tapaho,
your name,
my name.
Does your name indicate that when you don't full port a trade, you just keep busting everywhere? Like if you're sitting in front of your computer screen, you're just busting all over it. If you're driving in your car, you're just busting on the wheel, on the windshield.
What the fuck?
Just busting everywhere. It is. I buy so much cleaner. It's
calls on paper towels.
It's a reference. It actually goes back to the. So I grew up in a gold mining town. Actually, technically silver, if we're being pedantic, but a gold. I grew up in a gold mining town. And so there was a lot of history there around. Basically, everybody came to the town as soon as they discovered gold in the area, and there's a lot of like it played a lot into the town's history, and there is back in the gold rush era, there was this big push of saying, do this or bust. And the idea was they had so much motivation behind whatever it is they were doing. I'm California or bust is kind of the one you tend to see a lot of, like, I'm going to California or I'm going to lose everything trying to do it. That was that's the original saying is, I am so set on accomplishing my goal, I will do this if it breaks me. And I kind of like picked up on that saying, and oh my God, the number of comments I get on people when I'm like, hey, be conservative in your trades. And they're like, but your username says no. And I'm like, y'all need to look up irony. That's the big thing is when I was sitting there looking at the prompt, I'm like, my normal historical tag isn't really going to make context here. I want something that's like contextually appropriate. And so I was just like, you know what? Let's do it. And I enjoy irony. I enjoy sarcasm. I enjoy puns. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to do this. Full port or bust. You either go full port on the trade or you lose everything.
All right. So you're, all right. I got to digest this a little bit. So you're telling me that your name has nothing to do with ejaculation?
Absolutely nothing. I am very sorry to disappoint you. And I hope
now
your
we know.
midnight thoughts while you are browsing orange and black websites.
It would be
impacted.
like Chief Tapaho, but he gets no bitches.
I'm literally sitting here. I'm the thinking man meme right
or
now.
that guy, his name's Dick and just has like a really small penis.
Well, I'm pretty sure he does.
So maybe his is the same thing then.
It's an innie, not an outie.
If you got hate in your heart, let it out.
That's funny. That's funny. And that's actually
username has nothing to do with like actually like busting a nut. It's entirely to do with like busting as in losing, this trade was a total bust, as in like I lost everything type stuff.
I mean, I'm still gonna follow you.
I don't care.
Yeah, actually,
whatever. Miss out on my key levels. I'm gonna fucking block you, man. You're not getting any more key levels.
Whoa. My name's actually Dick.
There's many times where I'll go and do like an options trade and I'll look and see what FullPortOrBust spy levels are.
100%.
Sometimes he has like they're so off. There you got like 580 as his top and then like 504 for his bottom. And I'm like, okay, it's a really good opportunity to possibly get some volatility in the market. Like, how do you get such high and low levels for your levels?
The levels are based off of studying volume and options data, and volume is current to the minute. Like I can actually see the current volume and be able to forecast based on current volume and stuff like that. But the options data is a little bit trickier. So you guys were talking about leaps earlier, and if you go back and look at every single leap, you will notice it's for the third week of the month. And when you get to a certain distance out, it is for the third week of a particular quarter instead of per month. Or the third week of the month for that quarter. And so the further an option gets written out, the smaller and the narrower and narrower the time windows they will actually let them assign them. And so they have to be what ends up happening is as these dates approach, those time windows stay, like those options are still out there. It's just
still being held, right?
These forecasts, some of these forecasts, some of these options levels we're coming up on, like right now, you can buy MicroStrategy leaps, like you were talking about, out to 2027. So some of these levels that have been forecasted for SPY were written 1 or 2 years ago. These are numbers that people were forecasting from years ago. So the daily options are much more accurate. And you'll notice when we come up on Fridays, the Friday numbers are always wider. And that's because those tend to be written several months in advance, sometimes longer. And then when we come up on a quarterly estimate, you'll notice the numbers are like dramatic again. And they'll get wider than even the like monthly ones are. And that's because of how far back those those forecasts were actually created. But the thing is, they continue to hold with a great deal of accuracy. So I tend to do a little bit of interpolation around Friday, and I tend to, like peek ahead to Monday and Tuesday numbers and rely on those a little bit more. But historically, even when these ranges are really big, like people were looking, and when I first forecasted 500 being hit for SPY in like the next month, people were like, "No, that's bullshit. That's not happening." And then we got the 501.
Damn.
You're right.
So it's written from like a year or two before, so people are just kind of just estimating where the market's going to be from there. As options is.
I mean, I'd be inclined to. Yeah, let's go with people.
Algorithms. Yes.
You know what? That's also another great segue, and this will probably be the last question I ask.
This is the last one you get. I'm not going to answer any more questions from your depot.
No.
This doesn't involve semen, so.
Oh,
I don't know if that
I'm
changes
definitely not
anything.
answering it.
What an asshole.
My good friend Umfinance,
Finance,
MPH.
definitely not M Finance.
Finance. You got to give some oomph into it. He asked where you got your experience from.
Doing
experience from experience.
No background in finance or this. I mean, obviously don't answer if you don't want to.
Looking for a man in finance, 6'5", blue eyes.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've heard that like little audio meme bit. So my background, my education originally was in mathematics and computer science, and one of the things you learn in mathematics is this beautiful, beautiful thing that every single bit of like organic data out there follows, called the normal distribution. And this is a little bell curve, and it is stupidly accurate. For this like one bell curve, you will see it over and over and over again. And it's like, pick something, as long as it is even somewhat organic in nature, it follows the normal distribution. So like heights of plants, heights of people, number of encounters people have doing a certain thing, things like what people think the price of the stock market will be, follows a normal distribution. And if you open an open interest chart, and you will see this normal distribution chart, or this normal distribution. Basically, it doesn't matter what option you look at, doesn't matter what time period you look at, it will be a normal distribution. These things are absolute king. I highly recommend anybody who is interested in doing anything somewhat statistical in nature spend some time looking at them. Hint, hint, like the stock market. But basically, my key levels are all oriented around that normal distribution and that like spread of price. And so when those prices indicate a certain range is likely to happen, and if I study it and I come up with a number of different, I can look at it a couple different ways and come up with a couple different ways of viewing that normal distribution and say, okay, people see the price landing between here and here. And then when the price does get to the edge of that range, no one thinks the stock price is going to go lower than 500 for SPY. Like generally, let's say 93% of people think the stock price is going to go higher than 500, which means a lot of people are going to be buying it. And the stock market has this funny effect of very circular reasoning tending to work. And so everyone thinks the price is going to go higher, so the price goes higher. Because everyone then buys it. It's a truly perfect supply and demand economy. So in that regard, a lot of things you can predict on just knowing that background in like studying basic economic theory around supply and demand and studying statistics. Like those two combined will turn you into a trading weapon.
Yeah, you pretty much you explained supply and demand. When it comes to stock trading, that's at least what it sounds.
I mean, supply and demand is a general economic concept. You can see this. I sell like a lot of my old junk on Marketplace and stuff like that. I hate seeing things go to waste. I'm much happier to see somebody else get some use out of it. Also, you can save a ton of money. This is a really good trick for like buying electronics in particular and things that appreciate really rapid or depreciate really rapidly. You can save a lot of money buying very gently used things on Marketplace. And yeah, every now and then you may buy a dud, but you're going to save so much money that any concept of factory warranty is just like a wash in value. Cars in particular are one of my favorite things to buy from like private party sellers. Great deals to be had out there if you buy a private party. So yeah, supply and demand. The idea is as price decreases, supply decreases. A great example of this is like tech. Tech became this, it was this absolute boom market. And even before that was petroleum. It was kind of funny. I went for a period in time, there was a, so it really was the catalyst for the whole thing was a hurricane back in like '04, I want to say. Hurricane Katrina wiped out a number of massive oil stations in the Gulf of Mexico. It also wiped out a number of massive refineries along the coast. And so the supply of oil just went through the floor. There was no supply. We were tapping into national reserves in order to keep pumps full and stuff like that. It was insane. Gas was more expensive than it is now. It was $4 for like basic pump. And that was back when your average hourly wage was like $6 an hour. Or your minimum wage was like $6.50. So gas was insane. And so supply went way, way down. Price went way, way up. And then a whole bunch of people then started getting into being like petroleum engineers because there was a demand to find new oil reserves. Also, a whole bunch of like new regulation to come out that made it harder to find oil. So there was then a demand for people who knew how to like produce oil and knew how to design systems to produce oil, these petroleum engineers. And they provided more supply for engineers in that market. That then reduced the salary of people who worked as petroleum engineers because there was more supply of engineers available, which is the demand then went down because the price, the price of oil was lower. And so the demand for engineers decreased, which also the supply of engineers increased. Both of those drove the price, the price of hiring an engineer down. And so this is, if you look up, I believe it's called the supply and demand curve. You'll see these two cross lines, one for supply, one for demand, and then this spot in the middle. This thing just is another one of those that just dominates behavior. So like if you go and look on Facebook Marketplace and you're like, I'm going to buy a new TV for $5, you're not going to find one. Your price is too low. There is no supply at $5. So you have to increase your price until you get to the point that that supply is met. And it goes the other way too. Like I had this this thing I listed. My dad had these like really old crappy speakers, and I was like, these things are a liability, and I need to get rid of them. And I just listed them for free, and I had like 50 people message me within the hour. And they're like, "Do you still have these speakers?" And I was like, "Huh?" And so I didn't even know anything about them. I just raised the price, and I kept doing that until I got down to like 1 or 2 people that were actually interested in buying them. And so I had a fixed supply. And so my answer was to raise the price until my demand was 1, which is I had 1 of these for sale. And I just raised my price until I hit that demand point. I didn't even have to know that they were antique or like collector's items in order to be able to do that. So that's the same deal with stock prices. There is a demand for a stock. And when that demand increases, the price goes up. And the supply is fixed. There's only so many stock available. The supply can go up when like people sell their stock off, and that can drop the price. So that is why you can have a price drop based off of either a stock not being as popular, or a price can drop from companies selling off. Those are the 2 things that can drive a price down.
Yeah, man, you lost me on a lot of that back half stuff, but just speaking on Facebook Marketplace and the value that you can get from secondhand buying, I will say that literally the best fleshlight that I ever bought was one that I bought on Facebook Marketplace.
Chief, you can't buy used fleshlights. Jesus.
Lightly
man.
used, as FullPortOrBust said.
Yes, technology.
Luckily, it was smaller than me, so it wasn't stretched out. You know what I mean?
So feeling on the inside.
So yeah, like, but if you were to sell something on Facebook Marketplace, I don't know if a lot of people have done that. A lot of people have listed something on Craigslist and stuff like that, and you list it and you get no calls. No one contacts you. No one is interested in buying it. You lower the price, right? Lowering the price increases that demand because there is a higher demand for that good at a lower price. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, as always. I was going to go back to like whenever there was a big supply for the oil and during Hurricane Katrina, like how many like institutions or whatnot made money off of that by selling puts on those companies.
I don't know what trading was like as far as
I did
companies
again.
out.
Well,
The
Buying
big one,
puts.
oh,
you're talking
Buying-
2007, I think. Like, 'cause I actually went down and did like, here's my nice thing. I went down and like built homes during that. But yeah, it was like, I mean, you weren't trading on Robinhood back then, so
oh no,
a
Robinhood
little
didn't
different
exist back
world.
then.
A little different world. By the way, Bitcoin just hit 105.
Brokerages were a whole different experience back then. They were generally like static HTML pages. So you like click buy and then like go in and see the result and be like, it's up 7%. And you're like, I just refreshed the page. Like there was no live aspect to it at all. Prices, selling options was insanely difficult as well because it was all like static pages and none of this like staple stuff we have now. The big one that was the big moneymaker was oil. Oil went from $35 a barrel to $120 a barrel, if I remember right.
Wow.
That is a increase.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Holy shit.
here's the
You can
thing
do
about
math there?
contracts. When you're trading contracts, every point that a contract moves, they double. They make options look just silly by comparison. So like a 4-point move is a 16 times increase in value. It's nuts.
Wow. Yeah.
My dad got into he started paper trading contracts a little bit, and I really want to punctuate that move works both ways. So it can double in value, and it can also half in value. It is incredibly volatile. It takes very little money to like turn anything into anything else. I know somebody who did a coffee contract trade, and this was right before a massive monsoon hit all the coffee crops. And coffee does not like getting too much water. It dies when it gets hit with too much water like that. And his coffee contracts went from being worth $12 each, if I remember right, to worth $900 each. Something like that. He looked at the paper trade, and for like $2,000 invested, he would have had $25 million.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's insane. Imagine getting that.
Yeah, so imagine doing that on oil contracts where you're like, yeah, I'm going to buy some oil contracts. Because, I mean, oil generally is going to increase in price. So that's a fairly safe way to do it. You buy some oil contracts, and then that hurricane wipes out all the oil production, and oil quadruples in value. So your contracts are going to go, oh, geez, I would have to actually look at what the numbers were. But I imagine there are people who made billions with a B of dollars on that movement.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's insane. It'd be awesome to capitalize on that. That being
Yeah.
said, let's fucking, if you boys don't mind, of course,
Mhm.
let's move
Let's
on
go.
to a little rapid fire fucking Q&A section here.
I
Let's
don't run shit
roll.
around here. You do as you like, man.
Hey, you don't want to see that. That's my camera on. I'm sitting here with my pants off, a full beer, and a half hard cock because I don't know what MSTR is going to do next week.
Nobody knows.
I knows. It's not staying up here, that's for sure.
Hey, I got a 500C expiring next Friday that says you wrong, FPOB.
Okay.
He said, "Sell
Are
your
you
call
sure you want to do
open."
this?
I will sell it. I will sell it Monday morning at open. Don't worry. But yeah, do you guys have any questions lined up, or Darren? I don't know if you have any questions you got from the community.
Yeah, dude, I got questions, but I have like my own questions and I also have community questions. So,
All right. Well, the community isn't here right now, so just ask your own questions, bro.
all right, sounds good. FullPortOrBust. I
Me.
believe that you may possibly be a genius. So,
Thank you.
I have researched things to ask a genius.
How big is your penis?
Let's rephrase that. ChatGPT says this is what you should ask a genius.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What is something you believe that most people think is crazy, and why do you hold on to that belief?
Something that I believe that most people think is crazy, and why do I hold on to that belief? Oh man.
Rapid fire, baby.
Rapid fire.
No,
You're
no.
telling me to think fast. It's like saying, "Hey, tell me a joke," and you immediately forget everything that's funny ever.
That's why you got to be on
It's
your
true.
toes. P's
Be
and
on my
Q's,
toes.
baby.
Invert the news.
How dare you?
Bang.
Dude, it's true. I was telling somebody this the other day, and I was telling my grandmother this. I was like, yeah, I just inverse the news. And she looked at me like I was freaking crazy. Like, you don't trust like mainstream media?
It's
You're
not
crazy,
a
hot
matter of
dog.
trusting.
I'm like-
I mean, it's not just a matter of trusting mainstream media. It's keep in mind your grandmother is probably going to come from an era when the news was the fastest way to get the information.
Totally.
The big thing about like the Wall Street Journal, this was an insane deal. I mean, even nowadays you can realize how logistically insane this is. They had a time to print. They had 2 editions come out each day. There was the AM edition of the journal and the PM edition of the journal. Things that were in print was information that was less than 4 hours old. This was like as good as it got. You had people making phone calls to share these articles across the country and like faxing them to each other because that was the fastest way to send information. And these were newspapers that were printed and published within hours of receiving that information.
That's wild.
It was, and then sometimes they would do double prints where they're like, "We're not sure which direction this is. We're going to write an article for both, and we're going to have 2 sets of newspapers ready on the trucks to go, depending on which one comes out." And that way they could have the information out about things like the elections within the next morning. They could have election results ready when the country didn't know until like 1 a.m. who was going to be president. They would have an article about who was going to be president the next morning.
That's why it's wild that like what people don't understand, and I always try to explain regarding what you just said, is we're so overexposed and saturated with real time fucking updates and news. Like you could go on Twitter and see what's happening halfway around the world in real time.
Oh yeah. When Donald Trump is talking to Xi, we know within seconds what the outcome of that is. That's the so what of that is. Older people believe in news articles because that was the fastest way to receive information. So there's still that like feeling of like, this is what is happening right now. And we have similar feelings about Twitter. Like
that
something gets announced on Twitter, that just happened.
That oversaturation and overexposure, though, in my opinion, is what leads to a lot of really emotional things.
Oh yeah, one of the things that I did that was the biggest quality of life improvement for me was I quit paying attention to mass media as a whole. Like mass news in particular. That was a massive value adder to my life, was just ignoring the news. And people are like, well, did you hear about this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And I'm happier for it.
I feel good. Yo, you see how fucking blue the sky was today? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a gorgeous day. Gorgeous people. Summer.
Birds
everyone
chirping.
started to wear less clothing. We're all looking gorgeous. It just, these are my focuses, man.
Yeah, don't tell me how to feel.
I'll feel you. How's that
All
sound?
right, next question. If you had a limited time and resources, what problem would you try to solve first?
I mean, everybody has limited time and resources. It's called being mortal. The problem I would try and solve first is how to maximize the use of those time and resources.
Next question.
Hang on. That was a fucking awesome answer, FullPort.
It really was. That was dope. That was dope.
As soon as you said that, though, all I heard was Mortal Kombat. Oh shit!
All right, this one's
good. It doesn't
good.
have to be that rapid. It doesn't have to be.
This one's good. All right. What's the most important?
Hard and fast. All right.
What's the most important thing you've changed your mind about, and what caused the change?
Buying options.
Stop buying options.
Yeah, stop buying options. This is not something that I like. So yes, there's risk reward value. The thing is, when you start looking at like repeated trades and repeated run throughs of scenarios, the buying options has a higher profit potential, but in general, it tends to lose. It's like the curve is skewed. Instead of being a 50-50 chance of profit, it's like it's a 50-50 chance of break even type thing. So there really is, and then the 50% of profit is like it can go insane or it can break even. There's not a whole lot of middle ground on those, and they
Dude,
tend to be slightly lossy.
this is why I've just gone like full theta gang, because I mean, buying options, especially at earnings, like earnings buying options at this point is just dumb. Like,
It's
sorry to
gambling.
anybody that's doing that, but like, but I mean, it's not even like it. It's terrible gambling. Like, you have a better chance at blackjack at this point
Yes.
because the IV crush and everything. To buy, I don't know, buying options. That's where I've lost the most money. So I've started selling them. The only exception now. I mean, you could do like a small one just as kind of a gamble, but like what I've seen like Long was here is doing is he buys like in the money options. So like even if the price goes down 5%, like he's still like he's not gonna be completely bankrupt. Whereas if you buy like a out of the money call option and the price goes down, like you're just screwed. So I
I
think
find out of the money options are the safest. And the thing is, there's this price curve, and if you look at the Greeks and like actually learn about the Greeks, this will
I
start
wrote a
to make
document
sense.
on that, by the way, everyone.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So
I read it.
thesis.
I read it.
the big Greeks that are at play are delta, which delta is the amount the option price changes per dollar the stock price changes. So if an option has a delta of 0.3 and the stock moves $1, the
30
option
cents.
will move 30 cents in value.
Per contract. 100
no.
contracts and an option.
I mean, there's that's the thing is the stock moves $1, the price of the option. So, we have we'll make it easy. We have a contract at $1 and SPY moves from 540 to 541. The option will move from $1 to $1.30.
Right.
That's ignoring the like multiply by 100, divide by 100. That is just the like actual.
That's
base.
just how delta works. Yeah.
Right.
It's a scale of 0 to 1. Yeah.
Right.
Right,
And then there
exactly.
is Vanna, which is the rate of change of the delta. So as options approach in the money, their delta increases. So in option, that same option that had a delta of 0.3 may have had a Vanna of 0.1. And so now its delta is 0.4. So the accumulation of all these Greeks is really what builds an option value. And I've been wanting to like bring this up recently is you can make money on an option with a stock not changing price because the Vanna increases, the volatility of the stock increases, and that can drive the price of the option up, even if the stock stays flat, and vice versa. There's also theta, which is the time value left in the stock. And this is why options tend not to make the most money, is because the value of the whole thing is options are like a slope intercept of the stock reaching that price at expiration. So if you just haphazardly buy an option, chances are it's going to expire worthless in general. Actually, no, it's going to expire worthless. Not even chances are. Options expire worthless.
Your emphasis on here is essentially IV expansion and IV compression, right? And how it affects delta.
Yes. So this is why buying options on earnings almost never works in profit, is because the stock market kind of works like when you see people like way overthinking a strategy and they're like, well, I'm going to do this, but he knows I'm going to do that. And if he knows I'm going to do that, he's going to do this. And so I'm going to do this because like he'll be thinking of that. If that whole like meta simulation is playing out, everybody is thinking that way. Everybody is thinking, oh, well, this news means the stock goes up. And if the stock
Happens
goes
to me
up,
all
I
the
should buy a
time.
call. And so, yeah, like this whole thing is playing out. And so the price of options generally just kind of hikes as earnings approaches because everybody is planning on these movements happening. And so
they're already priced into the premium. And that's why you deal with, you're right. Yeah.
And so where options really make money on, and this is like, if nobody hears anything other than what I'm about to say, options make money on surprises.
Yeah, volatility.
You need to know something that nobody else knows, or that generally people don't know. This is where you make money on options.
I don't know anything.
I have a question for you, FullPort, about that. And I know you're again, for more or less against options just by posts that you've made. but you don't see any advantage to paying a premium to potentially leverage 100 shares. So say if you're bullish on a stock and you don't think it's going to have much movement in the next 6 to 8 months, but you think over the next year, when they figure out their when they really flesh out their business model and they start to actually potentially make some money, because I really enjoy investing in stocks that are pre-profit.
Absolutely.
But
so to answer your question, there is a tool on Tasty Trade, I believe it is. Tasty Trade has an option simulation tool where you can backtest different strategies, and you can say take profit at this, take loss at this, buy this, and it'll just repeatedly execute your strategy over years. It's a very dumb, but it'll give you an idea for baseline of oh well, I want to try iron condors, and so here's my general profile for iron condors, and you can lay out these strategies, and you can do pretty complex things, and it'll open and close your trade, and you can just see how they all behave over time.
But what do you personally think though about buying let's say 10 contracts at $50 0.5 each, $500 investment on a company that you believe has the potential in 2 years, so you buy a 2-year leap out on that company to say it's trading at $4, right? And you buy a 2-year leap at a 2-year $5 call 10 times. To put that premium up front for the opportunity.
Sorry.
Well,
to exercise that, you know what I'm saying?
He's talking about MTPLF, apparently.
I am getting to answer your question.
It doesn't have an option.
I am getting to answer your question. Bear with me. So the thing that you will find is overwhelmingly option strategies break even or map with the increase in price of stock across the board. Generally, option strategies it is very difficult to come up with a consistently winning strategy that you can just zero brain enter and be able to have any consistency with. So that's number one, is generally options break even. And this is because what I talked about earlier with the options Greeks, the value of the option is assuming the stock gets to that value at expiration. It's already, the metagaming prices all that in. So if you believe that the stock is going to hit that price, you are better off just buying the stock.
What do you think?
Yeah, remember last week whenever Trump made that announcement, he had a groundbreaking news thing that he was going to announce.
I took a shit today. It was the greatest shit of all time. It was the best
shit
I've seen.
Well, I heard that news was coming, and I bought a straddle in the money for SPY because I didn't know which way the market was going to take it.
And you lost money on both legs.
That's the thing, should I have bought leverage ETFs? But I didn't know which way it was going to go, but it quickly went down, right? And I made 250, but I didn't sell because I wasn't sure if that was the direction it decided on. And that option actually ended up carrying over the next day, so I'm losing value in my straddle. And so I wake up and my put is not doing so well. Then my call starts to go up, and then that announcement comes out, and I pretty much lose my put, and just my call is remaining. And the stock went back up to 565 SPY. And I sold. It was oh crap, I got it. I got a little bit of a profit in here. I'm overall, I lost maybe $200 on the trade, but then it went up to 570 afterwards. So my intuition actually did pan out that there was going to be a big volatile move after that announcement was made, but it wasn't done immediately. It took time during the press conference and whatnot. And
that's exactly it. The thing is with options, you're on a timer.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with them.
The move generally has to happen within about 10% of the options time to expiration for you to actually gain value on it. This is hundreds and hundreds and thousands of options trades led me to find that it was around 10% of the expiration. So if you think a move is going to happen in the next 3 months, you need to be buying 3-year leaps, which don't really exist. So if you think a move is going to be happening in the next 10 minutes, you need a 0 DTE, and you need to be selling that 0 DTE within half an hour.
Yeah, yep.
You
Because
have very little
deplete
time
quick.
for these movements to happen as you expect them to happen. So the other thing is, we've got a few guys in here that trade a lot of sell side, and I guess this is I just did a post not too long ago about like logic in trading and how logical statements need to always hold true for whatever your trading philosophy is. So let's run through just a really simple logical statement here. If selling options is generally profitable, then buying options is
Not profitable.
Ding, ding, ding.
exactly. Exactly.
Mr.
If selling
Anti-options here.
options is generally profitable, if you can just sell an option and generally make profit, then buying an option, for every buyer there's a seller. So if selling is generally profitable, then buying is generally lossy. It's the same as cars. Options are used cars. Options are cars. Just they have a high premium when they come out, and they just decay to worthless until they expire.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I got a few more questions because we might as well ask the after hour questions.
Yeah.
Earlier about that question about what do you think about leverage stocks? That was from Jesper333 on After Hour. So
Hi, Jesper.
shout out to Jesper. So now Tron asked you, you have the power to make one creature go extinct. Which one and why?
Hornets.
Hornets? Oh God. Why Hornets?
Do I even need to answer why?
I mean, I don't know. They have.
What do you
They
mean?
have
Why,
their
Darren?
area.
They don't fucking make honey. That's a fucking stupid question, Darren. What do you mean? Why?
They don't make honey. That's right.
I had ground hornets in my fucking yard. Do you understand how hard they were? I was tripping on mushrooms the one night, and I was like, I love everything, but I'm gonna boil fucking huge pots of water, put a sieve over the fucking top of that hornet's nest, the ground hornet nest, and I'm gonna pour it down there, and that'll get rid of them.
So,
are you sure those hornets were there?
Hornet drama in their life.
Positive. Did not get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never
who is
had an
dealing
issue
with hornet drama in their life, I recommend the hornet spray, specifically the expanding foam. The thing about the regular one is it's just a spray and it doesn't work. The expanding foam tends to get in those little nooks and crannies where they build their nest, and it like forces its way in there. Great results with that stuff. I
forced my way in there, the old fashioned way, and I just started ripping a fucking wicked piss.
No. You know what? I actually got a better idea, and I saw this on TikTok. All right, check this shit out. All right, so you get a bowl, right, and you fill it with like gasoline. Make sure it's a clear bowl.
Yeah, don't do this. Whoever don't do this.
And you slowly lift it up towards the hornet's nest, and they'll actually defixiate over time and just fall into the gasoline, and they all die. And then you just scrape off the nest, and it's gone.
No, this is true.
The hornet spray works in seconds. The expanding foam, I got really good at actually shooting them out of the air when they were harassing me.
I did the same thing with my
sniper shot.
Oh yeah, you feel like a little anti-air turret. You're sitting there and you're just like, you nail them as they go by, and you get to watch them just like curl. It takes like 30 seconds for it to kill the hornet. And the spray has a range of like 10 yards or something like that. It's
same as my dick, yeah.
Having
just
grown
about
up in that kind of rural gold town area, I dealt with a lot of hornets, and I gotta say that spray is the way to go. So yeah, F those bastards. They are anger. They don't have a role in our ecosystem that cannot be easily replaced with another creature.
They're like ticks.
Yeah, the ticks have. I would argue ticks have even more value than hornets.
What?
Like,
passing off Lyme disease? Keeping the deer population under control in populated areas?
Yes. Keeping the deer population under control is incredibly important for ecosystems, actually.
That's what hunting does.
Wolves. Reintroducing wolves into Wyoming massively fixed a lot of their ecosystem issues. They were seeing improvements in the ecosystem that didn't even the quality of water improved when they reintroduced wolves because the deer population was more under control.
Like I said, hunting.
Some freakonomics.
Yeah.
All right, I got the next question. Gets a little deeper. This is from What Are My Options? He says, is there life after death?
Oh boy. I am a scientist through and through, and so I have no answer. I cannot disprove the existence of an afterlife. Funnily enough, there's some annoyingly difficult to dismiss information that simulation theory might be the correct answer, but that's like a whole different conversation.
Yeah, actually, that simulation theory. That's a my favorite thing. It's a oh God, why can't I think of the damn word?
It's my
Well,
favorite
the
thing.
thing is, the universe
Conspiracy.
There's two
Guys.
things that make simulation theory really hard to dismiss for me. And number one is the universe has pixels. Believe it or not, the universe has pixels. Things can either be in one place or in another. It's called a Planck length. It's the minimum amount of movement something can have. Nothing can move less than one Planck length.
You're a mathematician through and through, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah. So the other thing is, this is a little more like just broader kind of hypothetical type thing, but it's a thought experiment to play out. When you're playing like an open world video game, the number one strategy to like keep people within the area of interest in the video game, I call it the boring gradient. Basically what they do is when things start to when you get near the boundary, things get really uninteresting, and they also get really, really dangerous. For like example, World of Warcraft, you start swimming out in the ocean and you just start drowning. There's not like you don't hit a wall or anything like that. You just start drowning, and there's nothing out there. It's empty water. So, you know, if you had a place where you like wanted your creatures to not really leave, you might put something that it's like it's going to take centuries for you to be able to cross this open space to the nearest thing, and we're just going to make it incredibly, incredibly hazardous for you to enter this big empty area around your area of interest.
You think that's what aliens are doing?
I mean, assuming simulation theory is true, extraterrestrial life is incredibly unlikely.
Ah, okay.
That's some bullshit.
Now, I think extraterrestrial life is incredibly likely. The big indicate the search for extraterrestrial life has been essentially like you're standing in your house, you open the door, you look up and down the street, and you say, "Oh, nobody lives in this neighborhood," and then you close the door and go back inside.
Look at statistics, yeah, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
realistically, with
it's
how
that
expansive
long
the
of a
universe
look.
is, there has to be something else living out there, right?
It is that long and that thorough of a look.
Be naive
That
to
is the
think
piece
that
I'm
it
getting
wasn't.
at. Is like you open your door, you look left, you look right, and you go, "Oh, nobody lives here," and then you close the door and assume nobody else lives in your neighborhood at all. That is the level of search we put in.
I'll give you the simulation piece, the simulation thing. What happens when the computer system's turned on?
When
There's a freaking when the simulation's turned on, there's a flash of light, there's a big bang.
Yeah, I mean, there's
there you go.
a lot of
That's us.
What about when I open the Pornhub
dismiss
browser?
a lot of difficult to dismiss things that all point towards simulation theory. It's
I have
annoying
my
that I
search
can't
history.
dismiss it because I don't like the theory.
So what I was thinking
Fish,
is,
I don't think I heard your voice at all this podcast, Fish. How you doing?
I'm sitting here
Fish.
listening, man. I'm
Fish is a listener.
You
He's
can
sitting there
listen to
listening
it
like,
after we
this is a
publish it.
great podcast.
All right, I do got something, guys. All right, so when is the last time you saw any neighbor bringing the groceries in?
Every day I see neighbors bringing groceries in. I don't
I've
see
never.
fucking.
Dude,
Not
I've never
once.
seen
Dude, I
I've
never.
never seen my neighbor bring groceries in ever.
Did you?
I
Never.
think I've seen that twice in my life. I've seen my neighbors bring in groceries.
I
And it
get
was
home
like,
from
I
work
realized it
and
when I saw it. I'm like, huh, I've never seen that before.
I do it every week. You know, I go grocery shopping, don't see anybody around, and I'm
saw you bring your
outside
groceries
quite
in
often.
Where I live now, I see it a little more often. I tend to see people with grocery bags, and it's like a fairly common occurrence, but it is still like, huh, groceries. It's novel.
Another
Yeah.
question. When
I
do
feel
you
like
ever
that could be a
see?
Twitter account is spotted groceries, and just pointing out people loading groceries into their houses.
When do you ever see, you know, like your neighbors typically are couples, right? More or less. I mean, not if your neighbors with me. But when do you ever see your neighbors fucking, right?
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
should
your
happen
neighbors
all
have
the
seen you
time.
stroking it.
I mean, I leave the fucking blinds up and the curtains open, buddy. It's if you look in, that's your fault. This is my house.
Totally unrelated observation. Bushnell makes some amazing binoculars, guys.
They do.
Unrelated.
They do actually. They do.
That was related, actually.
That was very related. I used those on a hunting trip in Alberta, Canada in 2017. Some fucking they were like $2,500 Bushnells, and holy fuck, they were so good.
I have a pair of vintage Bushnells that I got from my dad, and the thing about them is the magnification isn't that great, but the light gathering is insane. These things are like using night vision goggles with magnification. They're so good.
It's how I imagine being able to see if my eyes weren't dog shit.
Hey. All right, so this last question is from Nuomina.
Oh, no, Mina. What's up, dude?
Yo.
Nuomina.
Of all the decisions in your life, sorry.
I love Nuomina. Shout out.
Oh, yeah.
All
Shout
the
out.
decisions in my life. We're getting really deep here.
Of all the
That's why I was like, is this a fucking dating show? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, could be.
Blonde or brunette?
Candidate
Of
number
all
4.
the decisions in your
Tell me,
life.
what is your love language?
All right, so of all the decisions in your life, where do you rank appearing on this podcast as a guest?
Oh dear.
Please rank it very low. I don't even want to be here.
I think it's a strong bottom 1%.
I value my time, and I value my use of my time, and I don't do things that I don't think are valuable.
He called us valuable.
That's an
We appreciate that, bro.
No. Let's not hear what I didn't say. I said me being here is valuable.
Well, we could just cut it
There
off.
you go.
we can just cut it off. I'll just edit that out, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Got him.
No, but seriously, Full Port, I think I speak for everyone here when I say we really do appreciate your time. I know we weren't able to get together last weekend.
Oh yeah, things happen. I did want to say for people who are interested, we mentioned it a little bit before we got into this. The Discord server is going to be a thing. I'm pretty excited. We've got some very trade-oriented things running in there. Let me put it this way: I am using our Discord server for trading right now. It is an active part of my tool set, so I stand by it. This is partially to help continue growth of the FPOB. I don't know what I should call you guys, like the bullpen, but future time travelers.
I like that.
Something like that. Bullpen,
Oh, yeah.
time travelers.
We're the AfterWhores.
Right now, everyone's
mean?
it's called the FPOB time travelers. But the it stands by top tipped for 4 weeks in a row, and this is because I believe After Hours is a valuable tool, and I want people to support it. So by making tips, you support After Hours, which then supports all of us. So also, if I get to top tipped all time, I will open the server immediately, or 10,000 followers. Those are the big three that are I want to build our community. So when those happen, I'll open the doors, and we'll have the FPOV Time Travelers community.
Hell yeah, that sounds amazing.
What is it? So it's not open at all right now, or?
I am partially working on testing because this is a side effect of the world I grew up in. I spent a lot of time working in and around data centers, and reliability is the big thing. Uptime is sacrosanct, and you don't shut the servers off type thing. And I want everybody to have a really valuable experience when they join. So it's been a lot of QC, a lot of testing, a lot of adding and removing tools. I have had very little patience. My testers have been amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you guys if you're listening for helping me test the server. But it's not open yet because I want to make sure that quality's there and also get the community to a certain size. 10,000 is a pretty magical number. So that'll be a pretty key one.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Well, thanks again for. Do you guys have any more questions?
I think
for
this
Mr.
has been
Bust?
very insightful, man. Thank you so much for coming on, FullPort. We really, really appreciate you being here as a guest and taking your time
Absolutely.
Yeah, I bought some MSTZ while we're on. It's already up $60, so appreciate it.
And now let's speak in percents, because if you bought $1 million, that's nothing. But I mean, I'm also up right now.
Well, hey, Bob Dog, you're also a bitch. So.
Whoa.
Matter of fact,
You are
we'll
what
buy
you
more.
eat, man.
What's that Rage Against the Machine song called? Bulls on Parade or some shit like that?
Yep, Bulls on Parade.
Right.
Well, yeah.
All right, boys. Thank you again, Full Port. Really appreciate you having you on once again. We'd love to have you another time.
Absolutely.
You're free. I know you're a busy man.
We hope you had fun.
We're really excited to see what you do, with the Discord, and we're excited to continue following and looking at your levels.
And we appreciate the levels too. It is super helpful. So thank you, sir.
I have gotten to
use
the
them
point
all
with
the
my
time.
levels when I don't calculate them. I genuinely feel like I'm trading blind. I look at the calendar and I look at the little candle charts, and I'm like, wait, where are my walls? I know there's invisible walls in this room. I genuinely like seeing the stock price without those key levels. I genuinely feel like I'm trading blind. That is how high of conviction I have in those things.
I do have a request. I have a request.
I'm trading blind constantly. So.
Oh boy.
No,
requested me.
Well, kind of give us an idea of where you think it's going to go. Like, just say I have a 70%, conviction that it's going to go up today.
Like the market as a whole, or what?
Yeah, as the market as a whole.
Okay.
S&P 500.
Here's the thing. My numbers are based on. So the key levels, I have to wait for options data to come out. Oh, God, there's so much here I haven't even touched on. I have to wait for options data to come out. Options data gets published 4 a.m. Eastern time. So until that rolls around, I can't give new information. However, people shifted what options they wrote and closed Friday, I won't know until 4 a.m. Unfortunately, that is one of those things that it's just an advantage that bigger institutions have that I don't have access to that information. It just doesn't exist. So I won't be able to give the most updated information, but my numbers have proven accurate over multiple days. This is something that I think is kind of funny. Is I've had times where I haven't been able to update my numbers, and I've been trading on the old numbers with a fair deal of success. So let's see. SPY right now, we are seeing highs of 571, 574. I am seeing this week we are very likely to finish the week closing around 555.
Rug pull time.
It's not a rug pull if you know it's coming, though, is it?
Nope.
No.
It's a rug pull if you don't know it's coming. I sneak behind you, jerking it.
Hey.
All right. On that note, we're gonna end the episode.
She's got to take a shit. So
I do have to take a shit. But no, thanks again, Full Port. And like I said, would really like to have you on again.
Absolutely.
It was very insightful, and it was a great conversation.
I did have one more nugget I forgot to mention that I've been wanting to share with you guys. So I mentioned trading back in 07, 08, websites being totally different. What I didn't mention was one of the things on the first trading site I used would tell you who you bought and sold from. It was kind of funny. One of my first trades that I did on this platform, I bought from some guy, Evan was his name, and I was kind of I saw that, I'm like, who is this clown? And no information on him because he's just some other guy out there. And then the person who bought the option I sold was this company. You may have heard of them, BlackRock Holdings Limited.
Oh, those assholes! I hate them.
So
BlackRock like coal? I'm from a coal region.
No.
Well,
do you not know who BlackRock is? That is a serious question.
No, he does.
I'm only dicking around.
Okay.
Yeah, they buy everything.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they own.
They run the world.
They own a third of everything.
Corrupt as fuck. Yeah.
That's because they have fucking Aladdin.
Yeah.
So if people are looking at getting into trading, you should know who BlackRock is and what Aladdin is and why it's so important. It was one of the big breakthroughs I had trading, was learning about them and learning about Aladdin. And it's still in a lot of my trade philosophy now. But yes, back on point. I would love to be back. Don't know when, but I definitely am up for that.
Sounds good.
Love it, bro. Love it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I already, ended the show about 18 times, but we'll go for a 19th. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Full port or bust. We're all signing off.
All right.
Appreciate
Have
it,
a good day.
All right. Happy busting.
Like a machine. You think it's like a machine gun or like a fucking, you know what I mean?
Busting
Like
nut.
a tank. Like a tank. Just like one big shell.
Just a fucking howitzer, just
Yeah, just
fucking doing damage.